Chat, I'm happy to announce new Ride or Die video. Cocaine and CS have a lot in common. You guys know me, I love Ride or Die. I love reacting to his vids. If there's a Ride or Die video that is fun, I'm gonna react to it. I wanna react to it. Yes. Let's get right into the news.
Increased heart rate, blood pressure, blood cortisol, perspiration, and a reduction of a heart rate variability marker associated with stress regulation are all symptoms of Counter-Strike. In October of 2023, researchers from the University of Szczecin, Poland, and the University of Physical Education in Warsaw gathered 22 male students, hooked them up to physiological testing devices, and made them play Counter-Strike. After the testing was complete, they compiled.
And after 20 games of DE Nuke, they were all furry femboys and gay.
And came to the conclusion that Counter-Strike activates what is called our sympathetic nervous system, which is the same system tied to our fight or flight response. In contrast, benzoylmethylacanine, or more commonly known as cocaine, has been studied for well over a century now, and the overall consensus lacanine, or more commonly known as cocaine, has been...
Bro, when you have a video, you need to make 8 minutes. When your essay needs to be a certain amount of words.
Flight response. In contrast, benzoylmethylacanine, or more commonly known as cocaine, has been...
Ryder, I fucking love you, bro. Get to the 8-minute mark, bro. Get to the 8-minute mark. We need them mid-roll ads, bro. It pushes our videos more, bro.
Studied for well over a century now, and the overall consensus from clinical review is that cocaine activates that same system. Not only that, but the physiological side effects are remarkably similar to those found in the Warsaw Counter-Strike study. Now, this doesn't mean Counter-Strike equals bad, nor does it mean cocaine equals good, but what it did do was send me down a rabbit hole to try to figure out just how much these two entirely different things actually have in common. And it all starts with your 3 a.m. tilt sessions.
Chicken coop! Chicken fucking coop!
On September 3rd, 2022, Elizabeth Schwartz and 4 of the researchers from Yale University of Medicine conducted a study on cocaine use disorder, or CUD. Their claim is that users who suffer from CUD often have the same 2 reasons for redosing. 1, they'll redose to maintain a high. After all, cocaine's acute euphoric high only lasts roughly 30 minutes. Or 2, they intend to delay the crash. Now think back for a moment to the last time you lost an important Counter-Strike game late at night. Whether it be in Premiere or
just happened.
What was it that you decided to do? Call it quits and head to bed? Probably not, or at least not every time. Chances are you did what myself and millions of other players have done in the past, that being re-queue. And when that game was lost, you did it again, and continued to do this until you finally looked at the clock and saw it was 3 a.m. For someone using...
I gotta be so for real, bro. I clock into the CS2 Pain Factory, and when I've been live for 4 hours on stream, bro, I clock the hell out. I'm out of there, bro. I'm not addicted to this shit. Playing CS is like eating a salad with no dressing. I do it because I know I have to, not because I want to do it.
Should be avoiding a crash, but for us it's delaying not a crash but the harsh reality that we are in fact not good enough to win.
CSGO, however,
obviously a coke binge and a 3 a.m. tilt session are two entirely different things, but the similarities are clearly there. Loss of control, neglection of responsibility, degraded mood, and most importantly, the chase for something that constantly evades us, the dopamine.
Getting ready to celebrate progression for Team Spirit into the playoffs, but heroic
bro. Oh, this round.
And Donk will go forward alone, but there's so many targets. And he can often prove enough on his own. And can this little nuisance pull off an unbelievable... No way! Yes, what the...
Our brains learn via a system called dopaminergic reward prediction, which is essentially cue, action, outcome, and update. A cue can be anything, just as long as it provides a signal for the brain which allows it to predict something may happen. This could be a sound, smell, person, or something as simple as a Discord notification. The action...
Sorry. I think what makes CS so addictive to me, and always has been, and I think some of you guys can like kind of understand what I'm saying here, and some of you guys can't. It's before I rush into like a site, in my mind, I'm visualizing what's gonna happen, where they're gonna be, how I'm gonna handle the scenarios. If I kill one guy and I like have to swing and like transfer to the next, I'm playing this like future idea of what I think the run will look like. And every time I nail it, I get the fattest dopamine hit. Holy.
This could be a sound, smell, person, or something as simple as a Discord notification. The action
brings
is
me
what
back,
the brain
bro.
does in
every
response to the cue. like eating, drinking, or opening Discord. The outcome is whatever happens after the action. The importance of this step isn't simply about your brain learning if something was good or bad, but rather how you subconsciously evaluate whether the outcome was better or worse than expected. And then lastly, update. Your brain updates what it gathered from the event and then adjusts future expectations to match what you experienced. And it's important to know this because cocaine and Counter-Strike both use this system, just from opposite directions. So let's talk about your experience with CS. Your queue is likely the same as others. You see friends in a Discord call playing CS, or you open up your Steam library and see Counter-Strike. Then your action is classified as playing the game. However, your outcome is the important part. Counter-Strike reinforces future behavior based on whether you played poorly or if you played well. If you played poorly, you'll receive significantly less dopamine versus if you played well. This is validated through an old
Do people play poorly, Chad? Just play good.
That video games do in fact release dopamine in your brain. But particularly for games like Counter-Strike, your performance almost entirely dictates the amount of dopamine your brain receives.
You know what's worse than CS for me with this shit? Osu. Because like in CS, sometimes you have a shitty teammate. In CS, sometimes someone is cheating. Someone is sniping. Someone is griefing your game, right? But in Osu, it is your fucking hand against circles on a screen. And when you get that fat FC 99.7% accuracy, ooh, the dopamine hit, bro. Holy. I have had my arm tense up at the end of a song in Osu in a way my arm will never tense up in a clutch in Counter-Strike. It is unbelievable how that game will like bring the highest stress and the highest release for me.
Dopamine your brain receives. Cocaine, on the other hand, enters the equation in a far more sinister way. Instead of your behavior or performance controlling the outcome, cocaine chemically increases dopamine activity in your brain, which almost certainly takes over your brain's rational ability to update its future prediction. Every cue and action leading to the event becomes a positive scenario that from now on will be mentioned. That's why the comparison is not Counter-Strike is cocaine, but rather they both wire the brain to chase a cue. One, of course, is a Schedule II drug that has the potential to ruin your life, and the other is a not so addictive video game. But then that raises...
And the other is a Schedule II drug that also has the potential to ruin your life. Brought to you by today's sponsor, CS Money. Would be a fucking banger segue if that was a gambling site, but it's not. Do you want to buy a... You can do it on CS Money. On CS Money, you get the fastest trades on the market, low prices recently made even lower, and a wide selection of over 100,000 skins. You can buy and sell with PayPal, crypto, or trade your old skins for new ones. CS Money also has a market section with peer-to-peer trading, as well as an instant cash-out feature. Check them out with the link in the description.
Exactly how addictive is Counter-Strike?
Great site for trading skins.
It's impossible to quantify exactly how addictive Counter-Strike is. But something called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM-5, which is the primary manual psychologists use to classify and diagnose mental disorders, has a condition in it called internet gaming disorder. And from a meta-analysis in 2022, which used 61 studies that contained almost 250,000 participants, discovered that 3.3% of them suffered from IGD. Classic symptoms of IGD include, but are not limited to, unsuccessful attempts to control gaming hours.
I'm so sorry, but I'm really enjoying the fact that he's so obviously stretching the video. Hey, shit, let's stretch the reaction a little bit too. Let me go back 10 seconds here.
250,000 participants discovered that 3.3% of them suffered from IGD. Classic symptoms of IGD include, but are not limited to, unsuccessful attempts to control gaming hours, continued play despite problems, deception, gaming to escape negative mood, and jeopardizing relationships, jobs, and education. And
I don't know who you guys are that are playing Counter-Strike to escape a negative mood. I don't know where you guys are, but oh boy, if I'm in a bad mood, I'm not launching the game, bro. I don't play it outside of stream. I just do not. This game is a piece of shit.
Out of all the participants that were male, 8.5% of them demonstrated IGD-like symptoms. Obviously, not everyone who plays video games will suffer from IGD. There are far more people who are capable of enjoying video games without developing an issue. But considering Counter-Strike is an online video game and is without a doubt one of the most popular video games of all time, if not the most popular, it's fair to say that Counter-Strike is addictive in nature. What I want to add, however, is that the DSM-5 also lists another disorder called stimulant use disorder. Cocaine falls under this umbrella, and the symptoms include, but are not limited to, to wanting to cut down or stop, but being unable to, failing major responsibilities at home, work, or school because of use, continued use despite social or relationship problems, along with many more, including insomnia. But we can almost be certain that the average Counter-Strike player doesn't lose sleep because of CS, right? In the spring of 2020,
Right? Right, chat? You don't lose sleep because of this game, right?
researchers from Norway gathered 27 high school seniors and had spring of 2020, 3 PhD researchers from Norway gathered 27 high school seniors and had them participate in a Counter-Strike sleep study. This went on for 56 days and 1,246 games were played. By the end of it, they discovered that the worse you play, the worse your sleep was. They used a measurement called Gamma 40, which essentially measures your average performance and how worse or better performances.
Why the fuck do I sleep so poorly then? I always play fucking incredibly well. Hello? Why is my sleep shit? Makes no sense.
Different sleep characteristics. Because this test was done with CSGO, they used score. For every 1 point your score was below average, your sleep onset time, which is how long it takes for you to actually fall asleep, would be 3.6 minutes later than usual. So if you had a significantly poor match before you went to bed, you could expect to lay there and think about it for 40 minutes. Other than that, they also...
Instead, I was laying in bed thinking about my fucking 4K that I couldn't make into a 5K. Okay, you know, that's actually the reason. That is actually the reason. I have all day yesterday, I'm out and about and I'm doing shit, and at random times my brain will tell me, hey, remember that last shot you whiffed from the clip of the year? And I'm just like,
that every single one of the players, regardless of performance, was in the lower levels of recommended sleep guidelines. On average, they would fall asleep around 2 a.m. and metrics like deep sleep, light sleep, and total time spent in bed were all in the unhealthy standing. However, this entire study should be taken with a grain of salt. The study was done on only 27 individuals, and considering they were all young adults locked inside their homes at the time due to unforeseen circumstances, it'd be easy to draw the conclusion that their sleep was being disrupted by outside factors not related to CS. But another study that we explored in a previous video revealed that FPS esports athletes have an extremely high tendency to meet clinical standards for insomnia. This could be for a different reason altogether. A pro schedule isn't exactly ideal. I will say though, I wish there was more.
I will say, as someone who is actually, I won't call myself a sleep expert, but when you've had insomnia for 10 years and you've been through a lot of clinical trials and you've been through a lot of doctors and you've talked to a lot of specialists, you do tend to end up like knowing a lot about sleep. One of the worst things you do to your body clock is travel. Consistently travel is one of the worst things you do to yourself. Changing time zones is one of the worst things you do to yourself. Blue light is one of the worst things you do to yourself. Physical inactivity is one of the worst things you do to yourself. And pro play hits all of these categories. All of them. You are collecting the infinity stones of not sleeping. Don't go outside. One thing, I think you, of all people, really should go outside, probably. I think you might have the opposite effect. But yeah, as a pro, the fact that you are sleepless, it's not a surprise. Not from like a sleep science standpoint, at least.
For a different reason altogether. A pro schedule isn't exactly ideal. I will say though, I wish there was more science behind how Counter-Strike and games similar affected our sleep. Okay, so the point of this entire video isn't to say that Counter-Strike is as dangerous as a drug like cocaine. That obviously is not the truth. But the truth of the matter is, our brains learn from experience. Things like cues, actions, and outcomes. Something like cocaine, which chemically alters our mind to hunger for that experience, uses the same neural pathways that Counter-Strike uses. But instead of chemicals, it's the feeling of winning games, gaining elo, learning new things, and seeing the progression of ourselves being lived out through a number that honestly, a lot of us put too much focus on. But once you really start to understand the behavior of your mind and everything that's happening behind the scenes, the way you play, the feelings you have when you lose, and the reason why you keep coming back all start to make a lot more sense. So go easier on yourself next game and understand the only reason why you want to play good is because you want to feel good. Thanks for watching.
I mean, it's the same with mastery in any field, right? It doesn't really matter what you're doing. Mastery feels good. When you evolve in whatever field you're in, when you are doing homework, it's not fun. You're not enjoying homework. But then all of a sudden, you'll use the knowledge you gained and something will click, right? Something will click and you'll be like, oh my God, I have mastered this topic. And your brain just goes heavy on the dopamine. Like, I had that with tax law. I never thought I would find tax law interesting. It is one of my favorite topics I've ever learned. It's my favorite subject for my bachelor's degree. So I do think that holds true for anything. Pursue greatness, chat.